Hello all, and welcome to the 4th episode of the Tale Dogs. The last tale to release to you all released back in November 2021, which was nearly 8 months ago at this point. So I think it's a good time to bring it back to you all, but in a different format. You see, past episodes had minimum editing with a voiceover playing over it, and so with this episode, I'm experimenting with a new format that is more podcast-like. So when you play this video, I want you to go work on something else, or lay back and close your eyes, and just listen to this video instead. Give me your feedback after you're done listening to this tale, it'll be helpful. But anyways, right, let's get back on track. Today's episode is all about Links Crossbow Training, a Wii game built off The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. What is that, you ask? Well, let's find out. What is Links Crossbow Training? Links Crossbow Training is a first-person shooter game released in 2007 and 2008 due to regional releases. It was the first Wii game to use the Wii Zapper accessory, which it was bundled with. The entire game is basically an asset ripped from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, and all of the enemies, objects, and areas are all scrapped from that game as well, with little change. As well, the game was able to be completed in just under a few hours, which ended up being a sort of waste for most people, as the game didn't offer much content in the first place. 9 playable levels, with different varieties which are deemed defender levels, target shooting levels, and ranger levels, which all have different types of gameplay. Certain levels have bosses, and just like Twilight Princess, they have obvious weak spots. Overall, there isn't much going on for this game, but it does have a sort of wacky development. So how was the game developed? Well, the game's producers were Mr. Miyamoto, Mr. Aonuma, and Mr. Takuza. However, it seems as if the one with the most control of how the game panned out was Shigeru Miyamoto. Apparently, Miyamoto was originally planning for Ocarina of Time to be first person, but the ideas they planned out for it ruined his original idea. So it eventually got scrapped until he got the idea with Twilight Princess and shared it to the devs, as it became what was meant to be a side story that made use of the concepts of Twilight Princess. So right away, developers scrapped away at new ideas for a sequel to Twilight Princess, coming up with tons of new cool ideas to expand the world for the Wii. But as it turned out, Miyamoto didn't want that and told them to scrap it because it wasn't what he had in mind. Instead, he wanted to make a mini-game-like game set in the world of it, showcasing the Wii Zapper accessory. So right away, they started to develop this new game and got feedback from what were apparently die-hard Legend of Zelda fans, aka whales, which is probably the worst idea they could have done, considering people like that are almost never going to be opposed to anything they do. Eventually, it was announced at E3 2007 during Nintendo's media briefing that a new game they were developing would make use of the Wii Zapper, but the game itself wouldn't be announced until the GameStop Expo later that year in September. So with all this bad faith and stubbornness to develop this game, how was this game received? Well, the game received pretty average scoring, with most reviewers saying that it was fun but way too short for what it's worth. In terms of sales, by 2008 it had sold over 2 million copies worldwide, making it officially a good seller and not a flop. So in the end, Nintendo made their bag, and all ends well. All we can really think about is how an original sequel to The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess was planned and then canned, which is really unfortunate because I love that game. Anyways, that marks the end of the 4th episode of the Tale Dogs on Links Crossbow Training. I hope you enjoyed, and remember to comment your feedback on the new podcast-like format I've tried out with this episode, or don't if you don't want to. That's about it. See ya.